What is going on, Trash Talkers? We're back with another episode for you. Today's video, we're going to be talking about N'Keal Harry demanding a trade from the New England Patriots. All that and much more coming your way right now! All right, Nick, it came out later this week that N'Keal Harry, through his agent, has kind of demanded a trade from New England. Not all that surprising, as he was the subject of a lot of trade rumors early on in the offseason, possibly for Julio Jones. You know, there were a lot of speculators talking about maybe he goes to, some of these other teams. Then, all of a sudden, everything kind of just fell apart and the draft happened, and we haven't heard anything since. But now N'Keal Harry has formally requested a trade, demanded a trade from the New England Patriots, basically saying that he has been underutilized. And if you recall, N'Keal Harry came under fire last year when his agent called out Cam Newton, saying that Cam Newton was the reason for all of his struggles in New England, and that if Tom Brady was there, that he would have been, essentially Mike Evans or, Randy Moss or the second coming of Jesus Christ. So, with that being said, before I go on my tangent, what are your initial thoughts on N'Keal Harry's agent demanding a trade?
Yeah, I'll make this real quick. N'Keal Harry never became the receiver that Bill Belichick thought he would be in this system. Josh McDaniels hasn't figured out a way to get him working. Bill Belichick hasn't. N'Keal Harry has worked under Tom Brady and Cam Newton, both quarterbacks who are MVPs. He have not been able to figure out how to get this guy going. N'Keal Harry has progressed through his career, not to the degree that he should have been at already, especially when you look at guys that were taken especially when you look at guys who were taken after him in that draft class. Patriots could have drafted like A.J. Brown, for example, but I will leave that for you, Michael. For me, N'Keal Harry just doesn't fit in the Patriots system, and as much as I respect the guy, I think it is time for him to move on to another team. I believe the Patriots have made more than enough additions this offseason to replace N'Keal Harry and then some. For me, there really is no place for him on this roster, and whether it's now or if it's at the 53-man cut, N'Keal Harry will not be on this roster. It's better that the Patriots just get something in return for him. It's going to be a fun saga to watch as we see where N'Keal Harry ends up next. But I really want to hear what you have to say because I know how much you just love N'Keal Harry.
Don't you see his fucking jersey on my wall? God, if you hate me so much, like if you truly hate me, send me a N'Keal Harry jersey, because that'll be the ultimate, like, absolute FU, right? Like, you can curse my name, you can do whatever, I don't give a shit. You send me a N'Keal Harry jersey, we're gonna have problems, okay? I fucking hate this guy. I mean, honestly, swear to God, I cannot stand this guy. I hated him when we drafted him, and I hate him even more now. I mean, we're talking about a guy who showed up to camp out of fucking shape last year, and he has the goddamn audacity to blame the quarterback. Well, the quarterback did struggle, and he owned up to it. N'Keal Harry apparently has never had an issue in his entire life. I mean, this guy hasn't had to apologize for a goddamn thing. I mean, we're talking about a guy that might be the second coming of Jesus Christ himself, because he's never made a goddamn mistake, right? He's never admitted to making one fucking mistake. Not one. I don't understand. I wanted A.J. Brown in that draft so bad. I scouted these wide receivers relentlessly, and I said, A.J. Brown is the guy. You don't want to miss out on him, what he can do on a football field. I said, if you don't get A.J. Brown, you have to get his running mate, DK Metcalf. Well, guess fucking what? We choose N'Keal Harry. That stupid fucking school, Arizona, and he just did dog shit. It was just so painful to watch this guy on the football field. What he does is literal negative for what the rest of your football team is trying to accomplish. He's a 12th defender. That's all he is. If you throw him the ball, he is going to swat it down, because that's That's the type of wide receiver that he is. He's like, I don't want it. And that's it. Yeah, I can't fucking stand this guy. Let him go. I don't give a shit. You can give me a bag of fucking peanuts and I can go into anaphylactic shock and I'll be more happy that I had that happen than N'Keal Harry being on this roster for another goddamn day. I cannot understate the fact that this guy fucking sucks. And I don't know if he just can't comprehend Josh McDaniels' system. I don't understand if he just isn't in playing shape. I don't know what the difference is. Maybe he just couldn't make the leap from college football to the pros. Either way, he's had plenty of fucking chances. He's had plenty of chances to make a name for himself, to really shine, especially last year when we needed a wide receiver to step up, when we needed somebody through the dog days of last season with Cam Newton struggling and everything that poured on this team. We needed one guy to step up. N'Keal Harry, the saving grace. He was supposed to be the guy in the passing offense that should really be able to step up. But guess what? Undrafted free agent Jacoby Myers is the one who stood up. And he is the one that has taken the reins. We're talking about a guy that was literally a quarterback. He was a quarterback at NC State, kind of like Russell Wilson. But you know what? He's a receiver now, and he's doing leaps and bounds better than what N'Keal Harry has to offer. And I just cannot imagine. I cannot imagine being a first-round wide receiver and watching an undrafted guy come into your house and outperform you in practice, in preseason, during the season, in games. This guy he gets circles run around him, and he's too busy complaining and bitching about the quarterback to understand that he's the fucking root of the problem. I need blood pressure medication.
Well, I mean, you made a good point, right? N'Keal Harry came to camp out of shape, and that's probably why he got the nickname Doughboy from Cam Newton, right? I can't imagine that N'Keal Harry appreciates the nickname Doughboy. Can you imagine hearing that every single day at camp? I would be asking for a trade every single day too, because, hey, Doughboy, what's going on? Go out there, run your fat ass off. I don't want to hear that. No, that's not what I want to hear. And then, I want to get your take. This is what the agent for N'Keal Harry had to say. For the past several months, I've been working in cooperation with the Patriots behind the scenes to put a plan in place and allow N'Keal Harry to thrive in New England. Through 2 seasons, he has had 86 targets, which obviously hasn't met the expectations the Patriots and N'Keal had when they drafted a dominant downfield threat who was virtually unstoppable at the point of attack in college. Following numerous conversations with the Patriots, I believe it's time for a fresh start and best for both parties if N'Keal moves on before the start of training camp. That is why I have informed Patriots today I am formally requesting a trade on behalf of my client. N'Keal understands a key ingredient to production is opportunity. He will continue to work hard to develop and refine his craft after missing a large portion of his rookie year due to injury. His draft day expectations for his NFL career have not changed. We are confident success is just around the corner for him and will aggressively pursue it. I want to get your take on this one specific line. He was virtually unstoppable at the point of attack in college. If he was so unstoppable in college, where is that? I've seen him get his 50-50 ball chances. He has not taken advantage of those opportunities. Tom Brady gave it to him, didn't work out. Cam Newton has given it to him, didn't work out. He had a catch last season where he extended the ball for the end zone and ended up fumbling through the back of the end zone, turning into a touchback. This man doesn't understand the fundamentals of football and doesn't understand the small things that are asked of him, especially in a Bill Belichick-led team where everything you do matters. Every small detail counts. He hasn't understood that, and I think that's why he hasn't worked out. This is not, for me personally, I know you're different, but for me personally, I have nothing against N'Keal Harry. I think that he does have talent. It just hasn't worked out for the Patriots. I wish him the best of luck on another team, but from what I saw with him in a New England Patriot uniform, it was a complete mess from the start. I just don't think that N'Keal really belongs with the Patriots. I just hope that it works out for him on another team.
I'm going to take the statement from his agent. I'm going to raise you one. N'Keal Harry, before a game, tweeted out, quote, "We really in the game. They just talk from the bleachers." And then he went on to have 1 catch for 12 yards. 1 catch for 12 yards. What are we talking about here when it comes to N'Keal Harry? You talk about improvement. I'll say he regressed. He is worse than what he showed in college. He is nowhere close to the player that we were expecting to get in New England. And again, listen, my feelings on N'Keal Harry in New England are very strong. It's clear to everyone, and it should be at least. I wish him no ill will. I wish him no harm. I wish him great success moving forward somewhere else, preferably McDonald's or the CFL. I really don't fucking know, but either way, it's not going to be in New England. I mean, I just want to talk about the agent. I just want to talk about what the agent had to say real quick. It hasn't met expectations the Patriots and N'Keal had when they drafted a dominant downfield threat who was virtually unstoppable at the point of attack in college. That's fucking false. You know who was better? 5 other receivers were so much better on my draft board that I had instead of N'Keal Harry. I had N'Keal Harry as a low 3rd round draft grade. Instead, we take him in the 1st round and we're like, fuck AJ Brown and fuck DK Metcalf because they don't deserve shit. Hollywood Brown was the only receiver to go ahead of him. And guess what? I was fine with that. I was perfectly okay with Hollywood Brown going to Baltimore and us having a chance at AJ Brown, the guy that yesterday we just talked about being part of the #1 wide receiver duo in the NFL. N'Keal Harry, listen, for everything that the Patriots have gone through over the last couple of years with Tom Brady leaving, N'Keal Harry has proved to us that he just does not have what it takes to make it in New England. He does not have the drive to work his butt off and really shine in the way that we need him to. We have seen guys like Gunnar Olszewski and Jacoby Myers come into the fold and say, I'm going to work my absolute ass off because I know that I belong here and I deserve a shot. And guess what? They have surpassed him on the depth chart. And it can't have helped N'Keal Harry at all that he saw Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne getting contracts to join his wide receiving room where he's falling further and further down the depth chart. At this time, I just believe that N'Keal Harry has utilized all of his dominoes in New England. They have all fallen, and he needs to go be himself somewhere else. Maybe that idea is acceptable somewhere else. Maybe you can go somewhere and just be yourself and not come to camp in shape and do whatever. Do that on the New York Jets. They're not competing for anything anyway, ever. So might as well go do it there. You can go to the XFL, the CFL, the fan-controlled league for all I give a shit. I don't give a fuck what you do, honestly. Just get the fuck off the Patriots, please. Please, Belichick, get this guy off. I'll give you $5. You get him off the fucking roster, please.
Now, as far as trade potential teams for N'Keal Harry, if we look historically at Bill Belichick, he really doesn't trade within the conference. He really doesn't like to trade within the AFC. And so I would really expect N'Keal Harry, even at the level that he's playing at, I still don't believe that he'll be in the AFC post a trade. And I think that we're looking at a few teams here, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Atlanta Falcons. If there is one team that he could go to in the AFC, it would be the Houston Texans. I think that Nick Caserio's there. He's worked with N'Keal before. They know each other. And I think that the Houston Texans are honestly just desperate for bodies at this point. They can barely fill a 90-man roster. So I think they would be more than willing to make a trade for N'Keal Harry. Which of these teams do you think would be the best fit for N'Keal?
I would have to go with either the Atlanta Falcons or the Philadelphia Eagles. I say the Atlanta Falcons because they just got rid of Julio Jones, so they need a big-bodied wide receiver that they can throw a 50-50 ball to. I can't even say rely on because they can't. But at the end of the day, I think Calvin Ridley's going to struggle as a #1 wide receiver. I think he needs a guy opposite of him, even though he's still going to be the #1. At least N'Keal Harry would take some pressure off of him. They can throw him red zone balls that they're going to struggle without the presence of a big-bodied wide receiver. In Philadelphia, you have Jalen Reagor, you have Devonta Smith. You have some really fast and small receivers, but you need somebody to complement them. And N'Keal Harry's size and his ability to go up and climb the ladder for balls, which has been told to me because I haven't seen it in person. I haven't seen it when I've looked at him on tape. He can do it, apparently. So at the end of the day, I think that the Eagles could really utilize him. You laid out the Texans needing bodies, but I think that at the end of the day, N'Keal Harry would fit best with one of those two teams.
Well, let me ask you this. Who's better, N'Keal Harry or Travis Fulgham?
Travis Fulgham. I don't have to think about that one.
So N'Keal Harry really doesn't even have a top 3 spot on the Philadelphia Eagles. That really leaves the Atlanta Falcons and the Houston Texans. For me personally, I think the Atlanta Falcons would be a better fit. Matt Ryan is still under center, and I think that N'Keal Harry could really be helped by an elite quarterback like Matt Ryan, who has worked with big receivers like that in the past. And Calvin Ridley, as you mentioned, he's new to the number 1 role, even though he took over that role when Julio Jones was injured. Calvin Ridley can't be the only weapon on this receiving core. He can't be the only guy catching a ball from Matt Ryan, not named Kyle Pitts. So N'Keal Harry definitely has a role there. And then, you know what, if N'Keal Harry ends up going to Houston, his career is all but over because they don't have a quarterback without Deshaun Watson. And really, you're not going to be a big name on the Houston Texans roster this season.
I mean, you talk about Matt Ryan in Atlanta, but how long is Matt Ryan there? A year? 2 years? 3 years max? I mean, we're talking about N'Keal Harry going to another team where you thought Cam Newton was bad, but I mean, you got to take a look at the landscape of the NFL there, buddy. I mean, Deshaun Watson's not in Houston. He's not throwing you that ball. So it's going to be Tyrod Taylor or one of their rookie quarterbacks that they brought in. If he goes to Philadelphia, he's got Jalen Hurts throwing him the ball. I'll go to war with anyone to say that Cam Newton is a better thrower of the football than Jalen Hurts is. And then Matt Ryan, I just talked about it. How long does he have left before N'Keal Harry's yet another quarterback in his tenure in the NFL? So listen, the grass is not always greener on the other side. You're demanding a trade, but you better count your lucky stars that you have Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels to learn from, that you had Tom Brady for a year, that you had these incredible opportunities that you've squandered. You have to understand that this is exactly where you should have wanted to be, but instead you let everything else go and you took it for granted.
Well, I think you definitely took advantage of your rant. I hope that you can finally put this whole N'Keal Harry saga to bed. I know you have been on him since day one, and I can't wait for the day that he's officially traded. That way I never have to hear you speak his name again, and I can move on with my life. So, looking forward to that day.
Listen, if I make a roster of the players that you hate versus the players that I hate, my roster will win. My roster has Nick Bosa. My roster has incredible, talented players, and I hate N'Keal Harry. So if you have to take N'Keal Harry, I'm all for it. I'll let him be your headache. All right, well, that's going to do it for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.